Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. My name is Ben Gillam, and I'll be the host today of our Sustainable Living webinar that we've got this evening. So we've obviously got a few people joining today, so good afternoon or evening, depending on where you are around Australia. They've joined through, or even internationally as well. We're super happy to have you here today. And yeah, you're going to get some great content from some real experts in the field here to talk you through some great course options that you can study with us as you come through. So before we kick off today's session, I'd just like to do an acknowledgement of country. I'd like to recognise the Aboriginal history and culture of the land of and the land and acknowledge and pay respect to the traditional owners and to elders past and present of the land in which we stand today, or where you might be standing virtually today as well, and all the land of where our University of Tasmania campuses stand as well. So a quick summary of what we might be covering today. So I will kick us off with a little bit of housekeeping and go through why you'd want to study at University of Tasmania, just as a whole. And then we're going to get into the real heavy content of sustainable living. So go through some really great subjects, and you're going to hear from many people throughout the session too, who look after that course, and hopefully get some really great questions you've got answered, and which we'll talk about that shortly as well. You will go through what it will be like to study, where your study might lead to as well, and important as well through what sort of student support you'll get along the way. We've got a dedicated team that's going to support you there, as well as our general team at UTAS as well. So you're going to be in good hands when you look at studying with us in the future. We'll also talk in towards the end as well around our 100% HEC scholarship available and talk about how that works with your fees. We get quite a lot of questions around that. So if you've got any questions, it might be worth waiting for that slide around the HEC slide. So we'll talk it all through. And if you've got any further questions around that, definitely pop it in the chat. And then depending on what sort of stage you're at in terms of your journey with us, we're going to go through the how to apply in terms of starting your application, accepting, enrolling, all the key steps that you need to do to start studying with us as well. And as I mentioned, we do have a Q&A section. So you should be able to see on your screen a big Q&A button. So if you've got any questions throughout the session that might pop up, just pop it into the chat there, and we'll try and get to those questions towards the end where we've got a dedicated session for Q&A. You might get a written response depending on your question that comes through. Otherwise, we'll try and answer those live as well on screen, because most of you probably have some similar questions that you want to get answered as we go through. But definitely pop it in as you go through. And just also note as well, this session is being recorded, and we will send a recording to you via email a few days or so after the session. So you can keep an eye out for that if you want to revisit any of the content. So just to highlight a little bit about University of Tasmania as a whole and sort of what we're doing in this space, one area that we always love to talk about and we're very passionate about, and it's obviously very in line with what you're here to listen to today, is what we're doing in climate action. So we are ranked #1 in climate action globally, off the back of the Times Higher Education Impact Rankings for 2024 and some previous years as well. I think it's just really good to note that obviously you're all joining today because you've got such a strong interest in this course area. And not only do we have this dedicated course in this space, we embed this across all of our courses and our life at University of Tasmania. And it's an area that we are always striving to improve and really wanting to be the leaders in the pack in this space as well. So it's just really great to note and highlight some really key achievements that we've done and hopefully to continue to improve this and be those leaders in that space. So when you do come out with a degree or knowledge from UTAS, just knowing that you are obviously getting that from people that are leading in that space as well. Now, before we get into the content, I'd just like to highlight a little student bio here. So we've had many students come through this course and had obviously a great experience. And we've got students that have come through from all different levels. So some students have got a strong passion already in that space, or maybe have only just known a little bit in their day-to-day life and wanting to expand more. But what we hear often is once the students do this course, they get their knowledge expanded so widely and obviously touching on so many areas they didn't even know really existed. So you're going to get a great skill set from here. And obviously you can see through that quote from Kelly, she definitely found that she didn't know a lot of these strategies until she actually studied with us. The great thing about Kelly as well, she's actually used this knowledge to go on to further study and use this to go into a Bachelor of Science off the back of this course as well. So it can really lead you to so many different areas where it's further study, workplace, or just building on that passion you've got. You're going to get that through these great courses available. So we've got a great team that's going to be looking after you today, going through some key content here. So we've got a few people that's going to help speak today. So Tristan Durham is going to be helping do most of our slides, who is our course coordinator today. So Tristan's going to go through a lot of the content. And then we've also got Claire, who looks after our community, communicating sustainability subject through there. He's going to touch on some of those areas as well. We've also got Maddie and Robin, who's going to be assisting with some back-end questions too. So you're in great hands tonight. So if you've got any questions, definitely pop them through and we'll be able to assist you there. But I'll hand it over now to Tristan to kick things off. Thanks, Tristan.
Thanks very much, Ben. So as Ben mentioned, I'm the course coordinator. At this university, we call a diploma a course, and within the course, there are many units that you do. I studied at UTAS myself as an undergraduate, and then I went on to do a PhD, and now I'm teaching at the uni. And I teach one unit, Living with Fire, and then I'm over and above that, the course coordinator for the diploma. So I guess one question that I often ask students is, why are you here? You know, why are you here to study? I find that a lot of students in this course just love learning. They want to come back to study and they've studied before. Others are coming at it for the first time because they're really interested in gaining some practical skills. Might be practical skills for their backyard, might be practical skills for environmental advocacy, but people want to get hands-on with this course, and that's kind of what it gives you. Others want to change their career direction, or maybe get some more professional skills, or broaden their professional skill set. And others just care deeply about the environment and they want to do something about it. So there are lots of reasons why you might want to study the Diploma of Sustainable Living. We set it up to give you all of those things. Sustainability it's a global issue, but it touches each of our lives individually. And so we designed the course and the units to bridge between what's happening in your backyard, in your home, in your local community, through your regional community, all the way up to global policy and global trends. Now, the course content is cutting edge. Our teachers are updating the courses every semester with the latest research, and they're often doing that research themselves. So they really know what they're talking about, and they're passionate about what they're talking about, passionate about sustainability. They want to share their knowledge with you. They're very good at what they do. Year on year, our graduates give us glowing reports on their exit surveys, and as a result, the diploma has been internationally recognised with awards. All right, Ben, ready for the next one. Just so thinking about how this is set up, you basically study 8 units throughout the Diploma of Sustainable Living. You can do them 4 at a time, that's full-time study, or you can study part-time and all the way down to just doing 1 unit at a time. They're all different, but they're all fully online. They all have classes that you have to attend. They're online classes. They all have self-directed study as well. There might be material for you to read. There might be recorded lectures. There might be videos for you to watch. There are also activities for you to do. Some of those activities will be in front of the computer. Others will be out in your backyard. You might be measuring the slope in your backyard, or doing a 5 fuel hazard assessment, or writing a report on the buildings and suburb around you and the climate. There are online group activities for some units, for example, tutorials, and every unit has assessment tasks. So you might be asked to complete weekly quizzes, or you might be asked to fill out a report on sustainability, or write answers and your opinions, justified opinions, things you've thought about deeply about cultural burning or threatened species or nuclear energy or whatever that unit happens to be focusing on. So again, the units are all different. They all have different approaches. Depending on what interests you and your life experience, some units will take more time than others. Some units will take more time and effort. Most of them take somewhere between 5 and 10 hours a week. And that includes your own study. That includes attending classes, and it includes completing your assignments. So I guess the takeaway is, have a think about how much time you have to spend. Full-time study is basically like full-time work, but a lot more fun. And if you're not sure about how much study you can fit into your life, then get in touch with the DSL support team. That's Maddie. She's going to speak a bit later. She can help you make decisions about what to study. Okay, Ben, you want to pass on. So here's an example course that you might do. This is one way that you could do the DSL. You might start with communicating sustainability and 3 other electives, and then do your second semester with 3 different electives and local lives for a sustainable planet. Now, those 2 units are shown here because they're core units. You have to study them. Communicating sustainability sets you up, and Claire is the teacher for that unit. She's going to speak about it in a minute. And local lives for a sustainable planet will bring all of your knowledge together with a lot of other people who've been studying sustainability alongside you. But those units run in both semesters, so you can study communicating sustainability in semester 2 if that suits you better. You just have to do it as one of your first 4 units. So just to reiterate, full-time study means 4 units per semester. If you study 4 units in the first semester and 4 in the second, you'll finish in a year. But as I mentioned, you can just do them one at a time. To reiterate, there are 2 core units and 6 electives, and you have 20 different electives to choose from. They're all fantastic. If you're not sure what to study, have a look at the unit descriptions, make a list of all your favorites, and then make an appointment with Maddie and the DSL support team to talk about the way you want to go. I think the next one is Claire's slide. Is that right, Ben?
That's correct. Yeah, Claire, I'll hand it over to you to talk about the next slide.
Yeah, great. So Claire Conquez is the unit coordinator for communicating sustainability. And she's going to talk about that particular unit just to give you an idea about where you might be beginning.
Thanks, everyone. Terrific to be here. I've been teaching communicating sustainability for about 4 or 5 years. And what I love about teaching it is that students come along and say they started the course thinking they knew what sustainability was, but because we actually look at the United Nations sustainability goals, and also that we look at the history of sustainability and what we mean when we talk about sustainability, students say they start broadening their understanding. And in particular, we talk about sustainability in terms of a set of values that people bring into various spaces, into their communities, into their homes, into their workplaces, and that their values might be a little bit different to other people's values. And that's where the communication comes in, because as a species, we do a lot of communication. We do verbal communication, we make films, we write books, we slam doors. And indeed, when you slam a door at the end of a meeting, you are communicating something. So we get people thinking about how you communicate sustainability in ways that engage with solutions, because I think many people, when they engage in this space, want to start seeing change or have something to say. I really enjoy teaching this unit. We have 4 passionate tutors as part of the team. One has a PhD in marine biology, the other has a PhD in marketing organic foods, and the other has a PhD in bioethics. So when you come along to our optional webinars, you're talking to people who live and breathe this space. And our 4th tutor is a marine biologist who has joined us in the media program because she wants to know how humans engage with oceans. So we sit down with some pretty interesting people. We also teach it knowing that some of you haven't been to university before or haven't been for a long time. So we have some easy steps at the start, short writing tasks that the tutors can help you with. And then we ask you to think about a local challenge. Perhaps in your area, there's coastal erosion, or the tip isn't controlling the plastic flying around in the air. And we ask you to start thinking about what is this problem and who are the people engaged with it the most. And then what are the values that they're bringing? Perhaps the council has different priorities to the local marine biologist worried about that plastic in the air. So how would you talk to these 2 quite different people? And then the final assignment, we say, well, how do you present a solution to this problem? What I like about this unit is I think over time, we give you that space for self-directed learning by delivering content every 2 weeks. So we know that some of you have small children or busy lives, and you need to work your way around all the other things you have to do in the week and then find time for us. but certainly Tristan is right. You know, to set aside 4 to 5 hours would let you get into it, but we certainly do provide extra reading because so many people want to dive in a bit deeper. So we sort of scale it too and say some people are going to chew through this quite quickly and others will read more deeply. I might stop there because we've got lots of slides, but I'm very interested in the questions that we're going to hear at the end. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Claire. And so we have 3 unit coordinators here. Claire's one. I'm another. I'm the unit coordinator for Living with Fire. And Robin Moore is the coordinator for Living and Working with Cultural Diversity. So if you want to ask a question about those units in particular, we'll stick around afterwards and be happy to chat to you about them. But there's a whole slew of units available to you. Basically, it's a choose your own adventure. Here are a few really popular ones that are up on this slide. Introduction to Sustainable Design for Houses, Science of Gardening, Backyard Biodiversity, Living with Fire. These are all, they generally have dozens to hundreds of students in them because they're really popular and hands-on for people's backyards. Other units that we have include Engaging with Sustainability. I think that's on the next slide, Ben. Oh yeah, Introduction to the Science of Climate Change, Responding to Climate Change. Some of these units are big issue units. Humans, Earth Shapers is coming at this in terms of, you know, the big picture of mass extinctions and the human impact on Earth as a whole. Global food security bridges the whole way from what you're eating all the way up to, you know, global issues in food production. And the next one, Ben. And then here again, a whole slew. This is not even all of the units that are available. There are still others. So I would urge you to go to the UTAS website and check it out and read the unit descriptions and basically start listing the units that you're most excited about. Okay. Now, the last unit that I want to speak about in particular is the other core unit called Local Lives for a Sustainable Planet. So by the time you hit this unit, you're going to have a lot of experience behind you. The people that you're studying alongside will have different experiences because of the lives that they're bringing to the unit, but also the units that they studied will be different from yours. And you'll have the tools to be able to speak to them about sustainability at a very high level together and bring those perspectives together in a really constructive way to make change. So I hope that's really exciting for you. We're excited about teaching it. Here's an example of how your course might look. You might kick off with communicating sustainability. You might study Living with Fire with me, global food security with Carmel Singh, for example, and sustainable design. You have a break in the middle of semester and then you dive into science of gardening and you're in your backyard testing your own soil. You might study introducing Indigenous life worlds, responding to climate change, and then at the end of that semester, you'll wrap it up with Local Lives for a Sustainable Planet. But as I said, it really is choose your own adventure. So you study however intensively you want, and you can study whichever units you like, as long as you do those 2 core units. If you haven't studied for a long time, if you're feeling underconfident, you can always start with a unit like Science of Gardening, Living with Fire, Sustainable Design, that come in, that's like a soft landing. Talk to Maddie, talk to the DSL support team if you're not quite sure about anything. So this is a good segue, I think. We have a dedicated team just for this course who are there to help you with your enrollment, with your study choices. You can contact them about extensions, and Maddie Dobson leads that team, and here she is to talk to you now.
Hey everyone, so as Tristan said, I'm Maddie and I'm in the DSL team. So we're basically your first port of call for any questions you might have about the course, whether that's before or when you're in the course. And so we can basically help you with anything that's not kind of the specific academic content of the unit. So whether that's planning your enrollment, if you needed to withdraw from something, swap something around, and also if things come up throughout the unit, and you might be in 3 units and something's happened in your personal life, you can get in touch with us and we'll get in touch with your unit coordinators to help you manage extensions and things like that that you might need. So if anything comes up in the unit, whether you're needing more support or doubts about what units you might have chosen and what might be the best study plan for you, then we can help out with all of that kind of thing.
Thanks,
Brilliant.
Maddie.
And thanks for that.
Oh, yes, I'm still on. Good. Look, people want to know about career outcomes. Where can this take you? Sustainability touches all of our lives. It also touches our work lives. If you're looking to upskill, if you want to change your professional direction, if you want to start your own enterprise, then the diploma can make a difference. If you're in agriculture or energy or planning or policy or health, there are practical units for you in the diploma. So please think through what that might mean, not just for your personal life and what you can do around the house, but what it might mean for your professional life. The other thing is that the diploma can be a springboard for more study. If you want to go on and study a bachelor degree at UTAS, then some of the units from the diploma can be recognised as part of that degree. So you can basically start to upgrade. In fact, if you decide to do a Bachelor of Science at UTAS with a major in sustainability, then all of your units can be recognised. So you will have effectively done the first year of a science degree for free. So have a think about, you can always step out with your diploma, or you can articulate through to a different kind of degree here at UTAS. That's always an option worth keeping in your back pocket. And if you want to know what's possible, then please talk to the DSL support team.
Brilliant. Thanks for that, Tristan. And just mentioning with further study, if you are looking to apply for credit for other courses or the Bachelor of Science, you do need to just apply and accept your offer with us. And then from there, you can apply online for recognition for prior learning. And that's where our team will look at that and then let you know closer to the start date what sort of credit you would have after completing that course as well. So quite an easy process and a great option to obviously make your future course a little bit smaller and obviously cheaper and really delve deeper into some further knowledge as well. So I've got a couple more slides here that we're going to finish up on, and then we'll get into a bit of a Q&A. So as mentioned before, if you've got any questions, please pop them in the chat. I know we've got a couple that have come through already, which is great to see. First thing I just want to talk about first around is your fees and how the scholarship works. So we've had this around for quite a few years now with this course specifically, which is great. And essentially what that means is 100% of your fees are covered for both the course fees and also your student amenities fees, or SSAF. This is eligible for anyone that is an Australian citizen, a permanent resident, humanitarian visa holder, or New Zealand citizen to be able to receive this. So essentially anyone that's able to get a Commonwealth supported place across a course. So we've got a bit more information on our course page, so definitely have a look on that if you're unsure. Obviously contact our team as well, and we can talk you through what that looks like. But it's just a great way to remove that barrier and get into a course that obviously is going to be such an exciting space to learn in. In terms of how that fee scholarship works, it is available for the duration of 2025 at the moment, and then we always revisit that in around August, September for the future years as well. But just note that this has been going on for quite a few years now, where it's been covered for that too. So yeah, just watch that space as you come through. Every student as well that comes through, whether you're getting your course completely covered or you are paying course fees in a different course, every student needs to fill out a Commonwealth Assistance Form or an ECAF form. Essentially what this is just a generic form for all our students that need to be filling this out. And you'll also see in your fees section that you'll see an invoice for your fees sitting in your account. If you're doing this course, don't worry, that's going to be taken away. It's just something that's noted on our end in terms of those fees. So don't panic, but if you've got any questions, just reach out to our team and we can definitely talk you through what that looks like, as long as you've got that ECAF form filled out when you do your enrollment. But definitely touch base with us and we can talk you through it all. So as I mentioned, there's probably going to be a few people at different points throughout their journey to study with us in the future. If you haven't applied at all, you can actually jump onto our website right now and start your application for future study, which is great. The website is just utas.edu.au/apply. Application process is quite easy, just popping in your general information about you, obviously popping in your course preference, so listing that as well. And there'll be also a personal competency statement that you'll need to obviously attach in that too. But it shouldn't take too long to complete. As we mentioned before, if you need any assistance along the way, please reach out, give us a call or shoot us an email. We can help you in that space. Obviously, there's some students that have never studied before or returning to study, so it might be a little bit different to what you're familiar with, and we're here to help you through that whole process. Obviously, once you've applied, you'll then hear back from our admissions team, and hopefully you'll be receiving an offer to study in the future. And if you do, that's when you can go in and accept your offer on our portal, and there'll be a bit more information around your next steps as well, which generally will then lead you to enrolling into your units. As Maddie chatted about before, got that team dedicated there to be able to help you with those units and enrolling. But before you do go through the next steps of enrolling, like Tristan mentioned, jump on our website and just have a good read through all those subjects and try and work out what those ones might be that you want to study as you go through and enroll into those units. And obviously, yeah, we're there to help you through that process. So that is pretty much it for the content. So hopefully we gave you a really good insight into what it would be like to study with us in this space. We do have a few questions that have come through at the moment as well. And we might just work through some of those as we've got there as well. So the first one that I've got, this one here, I'm not sure if Maddie or Tristan you want to do. If I study part-time, does the scholarship cover all the time I'm studying or just that 1 year?
I can take that one. So the scholarship is applied on a yearly basis. So we get approval. We had approval for 2024 and we've got approval for 2025. We don't yet know if the scholarship will continue in 2026. We're hopeful that it will, as it has, as Ben said, for the past few years, but it's not something that we can guarantee. So it'll cover all your units in 2025. And yeah, hopefully it will continue in 2026, but we can't say for sure.
Perfect. Thanks for that, Maddie. And we've got a few people asking around application dates. Have I missed the date? Applications are completely open now for next year's study. So you definitely have got plenty of time to pop that in. So as I mentioned, just jump onto the website, utas.edu.au/apply. And we've got our next intake, which is semester 1 next year. So you've got quite a lot of time to still get everything sorted. So definitely start that process if you are interested. Pop your application in there and you'll be able to do that as well. So just looking through as well. Another question, Tristan or Maddie, we've got the one here. If you start as a student who is full-time, can you change to part-time later on?
You go right ahead, Maddie.
Yep. So yes, you can. So basically you'll be admitted to the diploma, and then it's up to you how many units you want to enroll in, and how many you study at the same time. So if you want to do 3 or 4 kicking off in the first semester, and then drop down to 1 or 2 second semester, that's completely up to you. You don't need to change anything on the system. It's just how many you choose to enroll in.
Great, thank you. And another question that's come through from Mark, just understanding at what level this is taught at. Obviously, it is a diploma. Is it similar as a normal undergraduate degree, so like a bachelor degree?
Do you want me to do Tristan, or do you want to?
So sorry, I missed that. I was just responding to somebody.
I'll take it then. So yeah, so it's below a bachelor's degree. So the level for the units are either foundation level or a first year level. So that's kind of the equivalent. So foundation level is a level below a first year uni level standard.
Brilliant, thank you, Maddie. We've actually had a few questions come through, and I know some have been answered around this already. A few questions, can you do more units than what is allowed? The answer to that is you can only do the 8 units as part of the diploma there. So we've had a few questions around that. So 8 units. So just make sure you read through that, read through all the subjects available, and select those units. And yeah, get that locked in there as well. Just having a look through some more questions. We've got some great ones coming through here. Let's see here. There's just one around the recording. As I mentioned before, we do have a recording for this, so you can watch this at a different time. So we'll send that through in a few days' time as well, which is great. So just missing this one here. We've got a question here from Anna. Are all units run at the same time, like all semester long, or do they run one after the other?
Oh, that's a great question. So depending on the unit, some of them will run in semester 1 and semester 2. Some of them, like the unit I teach, Living with Fire, is in semester 1, semester 2, and has a spring extended school semester, which starts in a couple of weeks' time. So it really just depends on the unit. I probably can't share my screen, can I, Ben?
Yeah, it might be tricky.
Might be tricky. Yeah, okay. Look, it's unit by unit. So basically list all of the units that you want to study that really interest you, and just take a note of which semesters they run, and then call Maddie and the DSL support crew and see how can you piece together the course in the best way for you.
I just thought I'd jump in and do Fiona's questions. So first about students studying the course who've had disabilities. As I think you said, you've gone to the disability support team. So yeah, we've had lots of students with different abilities. And so what you can do is get a learning access plan. And that's working with accessibility services. And then once you've got that, you can send it to your unit coordinators. And it just gives you a bit more flexibility in terms of accommodations you might need for assessment tasks, and that kind of thing. And also means we can be a bit more flexible when it comes to extensions and things like that. So yeah, it's certainly different accommodations for that, and we encourage everyone to still apply, and our team's there as well to kind of help you out with those kind of things as much as we can and make sure that things are manageable for you. And any advice on which units are a little bit more practical, I'd probably suggest the science of gardening units to start off. So they're really popular, and the units that start with a 0, so for example, science of gardening is KPZ 001. That means it's a foundation level unit. So it's a level below the first year level units, which start with a 1. So probably science of gardening and backyard biodiversity are the 2 that I'd recommend to start off with.
Great, thanks, Maddie. We've got a couple of questions have come through around about time commitment to each subject. So on the previous slides, I think we had listed sort of 5 to 10 hours dedicated to some of those subjects. Question here just around, does that include like assessment and homework within those hours?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. So whatever the weekly commitment is advised, that includes all of your assessments and everything. Of course, if you only spend 2 hours a week in the first month, and then you'll end up cramming, later on. But if you're steadily setting aside the same amount each week, then it should be fairly consistent.
Brilliant, thank you. A question here from Graham, just understanding what's the difference in terms of applying for someone that's coming through as mature age versus someone coming through as a Year 12 student. Essentially the same. So you're going to go through the exact same application portal, popping in your details. The only difference is you won't be submitting anything around your recent Year 12 grades, and you'll be popping in your personal competency statement as well, in addition to that. And if you have done any previous study, you can obviously upload that through your application. But essentially, it's all going through the same process, quite simple in terms of applying online. But if you've got any question, please reach out and we can guide you through that process as well.
Maddie, did you want to mention something about the personal competency statement? Yep.
So when you go through the application process online, I believe if you don't have a tertiary qualification, Ben might be able to give a few more specifics. It'll ask you for something called a personal competency statement. And that might seem a bit, because of the way it's worded on the application form, which unfortunately is something that UTAS has to ask, we can't kind of change it. It can seem a little scary or intimidating, but we really welcome everyone to the course. And so it's not this big thing you need to worry about. You know, a paragraph about why you're interested in studying or why you're interested in sustainability is going to be more than fine. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We're really just trying to find out a bit more about you, sort of what experience you've got, just because we want to make sure, yeah, you're going to be successful in this. So yeah, just share any information you want and why you've got that passion to want to study further in sustainability. We've got a few questions that have been coming through, trying to understand a little bit more around the semesters, if there's like summer semesters, winter. Does someone want to talk through that a little bit more?
Yeah, I can speak to that. Look, the main thing that I would say is go to the UTAS website and look up the page that says it's called Key Dates. And that goes through all our main study periods. The main study periods that we have, most units are taught in semester 1 and semester 2. Semester 1 for 2025 begins, give me a second, I'll just look it up, on the 24th of February. And that runs all the way through till July. And then semester 2 next year starts on the 21st of July. But there are lots of other little semesters jammed in around those. So for example, Local Lives for a Sustainable Planet, that runs in an 11-week session, which begins in April. And it also runs in an 11-week session that begins in October. So it's a little bit fiddly to work out when each unit starts, but most of them, including Communicating Sustainability, which is a core unit that you have to do as one of your first 4, that's in semester 1 and semester 2.
Brilliant, thank you for that. So I've got more of a specific question here, just asking around if someone has a particular interest in an area such as waste management or wildlife conservation, are there opportunities to focus on these in any of the other units? Anyone wants to answer that one?
Sorry, Ben, I missed that one.
That's all right. I'll read that through again. So if anyone that has a particular interest in things like waste management or wildlife conservation, are there any opportunities to focus on these in any other units?
There definitely is. Waste management is definitely covered in units, and so is wildlife management, but I can't remember which ones offhand. Shoot me an email and I'll get back to you about it. Wildlife management is covered in backyard biodiversity to some degree, for example. But for a specific question about the content of units, just send me an email and I'll find out for you and get back to you. Brilliant.
We've got a question here, Tristan, probably more for your end here. Is the Living with Fire unit based on Indigenous knowledge? Also, can you tell me a bit more around that unit?
Yeah, we have a large section on Indigenous knowledge and burning and cultural burning. We've relied heavily on local understanding here through Aboriginal people here in Tasmania, and also we've worked with Fire Sticks Alliance to develop that material pretty carefully. So, yep, there is quite a bit of content on Indigenous knowledge. Living with Fire as a unit starts with, you know, what fire is and what fire is in the landscape and sort of a global history of fire. And then it starts looking at wildfires in the landscape and their risks to homes. We look at cultural burning. We look at fire and biodiversity. Then we focus in on your particular home and what it might take to make your home more resilient to bushfires or lower bushfire risk. And then we broaden out, we look at bushfire and the community and policy and sustainability more broadly. We also look at the ways in which communities recover from bushfires. There are plenty of case studies. The Dunalley fire here in Tassie is one of the case studies that we look at really closely. So it's a deep dive into several different aspects of fire, and it ranges from the sort of, what's happening in your home and on your property, all the way up to, what, fire insurance policies across Australia and what that means for Australians and so forth. So yeah, I'm really enjoying teaching this unit. So, and the students I've spoken to enjoy it too.
Great, thanks, Tristan. Yeah, sounds like you've got definitely the passion there, which always helps. We've got a question here. Obviously, that the course is covered through the HEC scholarship. Is there any other required materials to purchase or order for any of the practical home subjects that we'd be doing?
No, they just mail it out to you. I think for Science of Gardening, there's a soil testing kit and the cost is covered and it's mailed to you. So once you don't have to purchase any other materials. All the reading materials and so forth are online. There might be recommended readings that you might want to go out and buy books. I'm a big fan of books, but you don't have to spend any more than what you spent to join up. What about, Maddie, the student services, the SSAF?
No, that's covered as well. So there's no cost.
Which is great. Yeah, it takes away that barrier, which is always what you want. We've got a question here, which is a great one. Is there any option or opportunity to be able to discuss and collaborate with other students that are doing the same units or the same course? Yeah,
there definitely are. Most of the units have opportunities to join other students in discussions, like facilitated discussions. Every unit, I think, has a discussion forum. So they're online typed discussions and backwards and forwards, and they can go quite deep. Then across the whole of the course, there is something called the Student Hub, which is run through our online learning platform, Milo. And that's a way to connect with other students who are also studying. So you can find out who's in your town who's also doing the course at the same time as you. And I gather that there are some Facebook groups and so forth around the place that we have nothing to do with, but yes, there are other opportunities to connect with other students there.
Great, thank you. This question might be a little bit more specific to an individual, but someone who's already in like the business human resources area looking to maybe do a career change, would you recommend them looking at the grad cert in sustainability or starting with somewhere in like the diploma?
Yeah, so there are two questions there about the undergraduate certificate. So undergraduate certificates were established under the previous government's, what was it called? Something Workplace Ready scheme or something like that. And they'd been approved basically on a year-by-year basis. Every year the Australian government would say, yes, we'll recognise undergraduate certificates next year. This year they haven't done that. So we can't offer the undergraduate certificate in 2025. If you're already studying an undergraduate certificate in sustainable living, you have to basically wrap it up by the end of this year to make sure that we can give it to you while the government still recognises them. But as far as we know, we haven't heard either way about undergraduate certificates next year. And for the minute, we're just assuming we are not going to be able to offer them. If the Australian government does advise that they're going to recognise them, then we'll be straight onto it and we'll put them on the menu. But until then, we can't say that we can offer it.
Yeah, great. And then in terms of the assessments that are in these subjects and units, are there any exams or what do the actual assessments look like through these units?
I don't think we have any units with an exam. Do you know of any, Claire or Robin?
I don't know. I'd be really surprised.
Yeah.
I'd put my money on there not being.
Yeah, I don't think so.
As far as I'm aware, there's no exams.
But if you're really worried about it, shoot me an email and I'll find out for you and get back to you. Exams are just difficult to run online, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we've got one last question from Trinity. Is there anyone that could speak to that specific unit at all that's come through from Trinity?
What I recommend is that you get in touch with Sue and ask her about it because she loves talking about it. She's really passionate. Shoot her an email and see if you can catch her on the phone and ask her about the unit, or just ask her the questions via email. That's probably the best thing to do. A lot of people don't realise that unit coordinators are really approachable. Like their email's right there on the UTAS website for a reason, because if you want to know about their unit, they want to tell you about it. So just get in touch with them and ask.
Brilliant. And then we've got a question just come through from Sam. What are the fees if the scholarship does not continue beyond 2025? Sam, I would revisit that closer to the date when we find a little bit more information if that's been confirmed or not. And then that way we can have a look through, because fees do change sort of year on year. But definitely connect with us later on, sort of closer to mid to late next year, and we'll be able to let you know what direction that's going and talk you through what the fees would look like sort of moving forward as well. In terms of questions, that's pretty much it. So we had some really great questions that came through, and thanks for everyone that has sent through those questions. Obviously, if you do have anything further that you need assistance with, so we've got the great support here. If you need any help, obviously, with support around your enrolment, chatting a little bit about fees or anything, definitely reach out to the team. They're here to assist you. But before we wrap up, does anyone else from the team want to finish with anything else?
Yeah, look, since we have you here, Robin, would you mind speaking about your unit, living and working with cultural diversity, just for a couple of minutes, and give us a bit of a flavour? You know, what is it about, and what do you teach?
Okay, I feel like I'm on the
Put
spot
you on the spot.
So living and working in cultural diversity recognises that whatever we're doing, wherever we are in Australia, we're going to be working in diverse environments. And whether that's about ethnic or racial diversity, whether it's about gender, sexuality, disability, there's a whole lot of aspects of diversity that we consider. And we come from a perspective of cultural responsiveness. And what that means is we really encourage students to understand their own culture and how their own culture shapes the way that they see the world and the way that they think and behave. Because when we understand ourselves, we can manage our own reactions to cross-cultural situations, and we can navigate those to help avoid those becoming awkward. So I think in the past, there was sort of more a cultural competency model where people learnt about others. So they learnt about particular groups of people, and that's been found to be not so effective. So it's really about learning all about yourself, who you are, maybe even a lot of aspects of the way that you think about things that you're not necessarily aware of. So students find it's a really good course to learn a lot about themselves, and it's a really important requirement for a whole lot of jobs now, but it's also can be really helpful in your personal life, just in terms of learning more about yourself and observing how you react to things and learning how to manage that in a really constructive way.
And Robin, just to throw you a Dorothy Dixer, how does that relate to sustainability?
Oh, that is a bit of a Dorothy Dixer. I guess it's just really important. So I'll give an example. Say you're wanting to collaborate with someone. So one of the things that we cover in our course is maybe when you're trying to collaborate with Indigenous groups for a practical, sustainable outcome, like you're looking at managing a particular resource on country. Now, to do that effectively requires perhaps understanding yourself, understanding the assumptions and the stereotypes that you already hold about different groups, so that you're not bringing those to that collaboration, so that you can collaborate quite effectively. I guess that's the basic premise that I think is important when you're trying to work with other people.
Oh, thanks, Robin.
That's great. Anyone else want to touch on anything else before we wrap up for tonight?
No, just thanks, Ben, for organising this and for hosting. We appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Well, thanks everyone for joining tonight. It's been great. We had such a great audience and obviously some brilliant questions coming through. As I mentioned, reach out to the team if you need any assistance for your next steps, because we're really excited to have you join the course and get some obviously great content knowledge coming out. And thanks for everyone that presented today. It's been brilliant. And obviously you can see the passion amongst everyone that is teaching this course, and you're going to be in good hands when you do come join UTAS in the future. But yeah, hopefully we see you studying with us in the future, and have a lovely night, everyone, and hopefully see you soon. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.